Instead of making the ship faster, how about installing some seatbelts?
Seatbelts are dead weight. I feel the need for speed.
Yes, but I feel the nafety for safety.
Oh, fuff.
So we are going to start the teardown necessary for the rest of the install for phase 4. That is going to start with the center bezel. We're putting in a double DIN head unit as well as a custom switch panel. So the current bezel, head unit, and switch panel, well, they gotta be taken out. So let's get started with that. So these are the components we're going to be taking out. I'm going to have a different routing for my antenna cable for XM radio. I have a auto repair or auto install kit that's just hanging off the bezel here. So that's not going to be needed anymore. The factory head unit is going to get replaced. There's actually a CD stuck in there that won't eject, so not a big deal there. And we're also going to get rid of all of the switches down here that are factory, well, mostly factory. We've added a couple of special ones. The only thing that's going to come back in is going to be the HVAC controls. So if you look in here, you can see that this just hooks over the top onto this bracket, then there's a bottom one that retains it. I'm going to simply use a body tool, pry in here just enough to lift the hook up so that I can get it out of the vent. See, there's the hook that I was talking about. And we've got that off now. Go ahead and unplug it. And we'll take that off. This was just popped magnetically on. And we'll set that aside. Okay, so we're going to take the power off to the XM adapter that's in the glove box. And I'm also going to unplug my cell phone cable. And we'll get it collected up. And then in the glove box there, Kenneth, can you grab that? There is the car auxiliary adapter, and it goes back to the head unit. So, and it doesn't come off here, so we'll have to take that off as we take everything else out.
That gives us access to what we're doing. That is just held and retained by this little strap. So you take the top off, disconnect the strap. It allows the glove box to drop down. Be careful to not dump all of your cash.
And ducks.
And swag.
Yep.
And just, again, set the glove box aside.
Tip on that, if you've got a spare box from Amazon from some assorted delivery somewhere, pop that into the Amazon box, because you know those things get tipped over, and that will at least contain the contents if it does happen to get kicked or knocked off or something of that nature.
Okay. This wire here is part of your radio antenna. If you go ahead and separate it at this point, it'll make taking the stereo out a little bit easier. Note where that wants to go when it tries to run away and hide, so you can find it later. Yep,
we've got a replacement antenna for this particular setup. Okay, so the next step is going to be to attempt to get this trim panel out. It goes the length underneath the bar here. So this is going to be a little bit interesting. Obviously easier if you don't have a Genrite roll cage. But you should just be able to get this up under and pry gently on the posts. Now mine's not in the best shape. Last week Penny turned 184,000 miles. Kenneth, can you get that one? There you go.
Okay.
And I'll work my way back here. Anyway, as I was saying, Penny just turned 184,000 miles, and with so many builds that have occurred, it's pretty obvious that, you know, anyway, it's pretty obvious she's been taken apart, put together multiple times, and sometimes not all the parts manage to make it back on. Okay, there's a possibility we'll have to remove this if this needs to come out.
Cut. Well, what we care
might be able
about
to just lift it up.
most is these two screws
Yep.
that are now visible. They
So-
have to come out in order to get the centered stack of the dash out.
Exactly. So Phillips head screwdriver. Let's see here. There we go. Don't drop it down the HVAC system there. Put it there for now. The other one there. Okay, so at this point, Kenneth, I'll send you, let's go have you get a Ziploc bag so we can start keeping track of parts. Thank you. Handiest tip out there is the Ziploc bag. All right, so at this point, it's put on by a press fit, so gently pull it out, top and bottom. And that puppy can be cleaned up and probably put on the used market. It's not going to fit in the Ziploc bag either.
No.
Now, we do need to harvest the dash HVAC controls. Flipper thingy.
the vents.
Yeah, vents, that's the word I'm looking for. Head unit is held on by 2 screws on either side. So we're just gonna work those out. Looks like they're the exact same screw as what was used up here. So into the Ziploc bag they will go. Unclear if we'll need them again. The head unit could have come with its own screws.
I suspect those screws will be reused.
I
yes.
suspect too, but let's go ahead and keep track of them. There they are. Son of a gun, I had all 4.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, you can try to pull it forward. Now, some of these head units are going to have anti-theft devices on the back. And you have to reach around and use a 10 millimeter stubby to get the anti-theft device off. I'm not feeling one on this head unit.
This dash has been out of the vehicle before. The stereo has been out of the vehicle before.
Mm-hmm.
And so likely the anti-theft.
Oh, I see it. It's here. It's just way down there.
Has not been
It's not hooked up.
not hooked up. So at this point you want to press the little thumb thing and disconnect the factory wiring from the back of the stereo.
Let me look.
And again, it's just a little tab.
Okay.
Just a little tab on the bottom of these.
Oh, that's what I was missing.
And then you pull it out.
Sneak that out. Comes with its own free country music CD of some sort that's inside. HVAC can stay put, can it not? Or do we want to go ahead and pull it out?
Let's not pull that just now.
Yep, but we do need to pull this out.
You do want to
And
pull
I'm
the switch
seeing
panel, yep.
2 screws here and 2 screws right there. But yeah, they are Phillips head screws. So we're going to close that just for the fun of it. And lighting right now is being provided by those awesome KC V2 Cyclones that I have as dome lights in here. So very bright, huh? And I say that while I'm reaching for a very, very covered light here. This entire switch panel is going to get replaced with a custom one that ironically is made by the exact same company. It's made by the light I was just talking about, custom3dfab.com. Great shipping, very nice people. Okay, 4 screws. Oh my gosh, Penny, you've got all of them into the bag. All right, so now we're going to pull this away very, very gently and take a look at all the things that we've got down here.
So, what we have here these are running. So as we look to remove this, because again, all of this wiring is going to be abandoned, what we will do is disconnect the aftermarket from our aftermarket USB, and we'll look at how or if how much of this we want to retain.
Well, the new switch panel has a USB.
It does. Okay, we're going to disconnect.
Might be the only thing we're retaining.
The cable. Disconnect the cable. Tab is on the back side of that one. Disconnect that cable. Now, that leaves us these two connectors that are the 12-volt accessory power. These are a kind of an industry standard animal, but they are great fun to open up and disconnect, but it's the same idea. There is a tab that you depress that allows it to disconnect.
Sweet.
And that entire panel comes off, and it too can be added to the parts bin. It won't be going back into this Jeep.
Cool. Someone might be able to use it. So continuing down, there's really nothing further down. One thing to note is on either side of the head unit, there's these little metal bits. This is for helping with the bezel, making sure it stays aligned. So we're going to make sure that they stay put and don't get lost in the shuffle. But there we are. Head unit is out. Switch panel is out. Alright, going to try to take off the vents. This time I remembered what they're called. And I'm using a body tool for it. There's probably a different way to do this, but in playing with this, there's a spot right there that my body tool fits really nicely. And so if I slide it up very gently, given this is 18-year-old plastic, I don't want to break it. There we go. Come on. There. Got that side. And if I get this side out, this side, there we go. Got it. And I did break it. Get it right in without breaking 18-year-old plastic. Wiggle it out. There we go. Push there. There we go. Push again. There. And there's a second one, not broken. Those will get cleaned up with soap and water before being installed into the other one.
Do I click the yellow wire or do I click the red wire? Do I click the yellow wire or do I click the red wire? Which one makes the Jeep not go boom? And that completes the removal of the aftermarket auxiliary input. This wiring here and this wiring here has been spliced in behind this accessory connector. We will probably redo most of this because we're looking at new wire. This connector won't need to exist, and we need to feed wiring to the new connections anyway.
Those red wires that are hanging down, if you follow me up, they belong to that. Yes, I still have a CB.